I have to re-record this video because I don't know when my audio recorder stopped. Hey, how's it going? My name is Benji and welcome back to my channel, and specifically welcome to the first real video I've made here in my new house. So I recently moved and I've taken this opportunity to really dive into making my room here an actual functioning home studio. So this is my rundown of what I have, what I use, how I use it. Obviously, being a home studio, it will always be a work in progress. That being said, I think that I have a pretty decent place to start out from. So any changes that happen, I'll obviously make updates along the way, but I think this is a good starting place. I say that like tomorrow, I'm probably gonna change something around because first things first, let's talk about the desk that I'm sitting at right now. So for those of you who don't know, I work from home and I needed a desk that would really suit my needs. So I went and I got the biggest desk that I could find. I actually found this at Sam's Club as like a work desk. Not for like working like in an office, but like, you know, like man work, like garage work. Working on cars, I think. Whatever men do with their garage work desks. That's what this is for. But it's great for me. I love the color of like a really nice light wood grain. It's really sturdy. It's meant to support like 2,000 pounds. I really like the flexibility that it gives me to have my work laptop on one side and my studio laptop on the other side. So I can switch back and forth between work and studio mode pretty easily. Now, due to the size of the desk and kind of having to jump back and forth between two different things, I've opted for pretty much entirely wireless peripherals. So I have a Keychron keyboard. I forget the model name, but this is the model name. It's the one with the 10 key row, but not like the full size keyboard. It's just a little more condensed. And I use the MX Master mouse. I really like this. So I came from using the trackpad on the MacBook all the time. And so I got really used to pinch to zoom, all of that sort of stuff. And like, especially going back and forth between large video projects or large music projects, I was so used to being able to swipe back and forth. So this side scroll wheel has come in really, really handy. And what's great is they're wireless, so I can just switch back and forth between all my devices, no problem. Now, one of the things that I really love about this desk that I have right now is because it's so big and because it's relatively cable free, I can actually put gear onto the desk that I want to work with more directly into the DAW. I generally am the type of person who really wants to separate working with hardware and working with software, but for those times where I do require working between both of them, or for the times when just inspiration strikes and I want to try something different, it's really easy to just move things out of the way, place down a piece of gear, and I have a stereo cable set running into my interface at all times, which is just dedicated to being able to plug in whatever I want from here, which leads me perfectly into my interface. Now, my interface is one of the things that definitely changed the most drastically between my old setup and my current setup. So I had been using a Universal Audio Apollo Solo for a while, and I really liked it, but I was getting some noise issues with the phantom power. That combined with the fact that it was only 2 inputs ended up being a little bit of a limiting factor. So I ended up upgrading to the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20, which I'm really enjoying so far. I love the fact that it is expandable because I am already using 7 out of the 8 inputs. But so far I'm really enjoying using it. I think my only complaint that I have with it right now is that it comes with this software called Universal Control or Focusrite Control, and it lets you do a lot of things, but there are some things that you cannot do, and it kind of wants you to have the interface directly on your desk, which just doesn't really work for me and my setup. So I have it beside my desk, and sometimes I have to go back and forth on some stuff, but maybe that can be fixed with software updates. And you know, if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It would just make my life easier. If anybody is watching from Focusrite, call me. Into the interface, I am running 2 mics for my drum setup, which I'll kind of go over later, but I'm doing a little mono drum setup. I'm also running my stereo outputs from my mixer. I am running this microphone, which is probably my favorite microphone that I've ever used. I really, really like it. This is the Electro Voice RE20, and I really, really like this microphone. And then, as I said, I also have the stereo cables running into... You don't need to do all that. And then, as I said, I have a stereo input running to the desk, so I can just throw a piece of gear on and be cool. Right next to that on the floor, I have my guitar pedal board. I did a stream where I built this, and it's pretty much stayed exactly the same, except for I put my Strymon Iridium on the desk instead of on the pedal board, just because I like to be able to tweak with it in the moment. There's a guitar stand, which is always going to have some guitar on it, and that guitar is just going to rotate out through my small collection that I have. Right now, it's my Fender Jaguar. Up until a couple weeks ago, it was the Gibson Les Paul, just whatever I'm feeling in the moment. It's just great because that means that I always have a guitar set up, and since guitar is generally my primary instrument, it's always nice to just have that there. Now, let's get into the fun part. I'm gonna try not to talk about how I have everything routed right now, because I could talk about that for hours and it changes all the time. I will spend a little minute talking about the cables I use because I actually care about that because I am a nerd. Let's move on to the actual desk that I do all of my real music creation at. I really like using hardware setups as much as like a dirty word it can be sometimes. I like DAW-less setups just because I don't like having to go into the computer and go through a bunch of software and stuff to create something that I could do live. I just personally don't like using a laptop live. I play in a band where all of our stuff runs through a live laptop, so I'm not like opposed to seeing laptops on stage, but I just don't feel like I have as much fun as with hardware. So I've kind of set up a different desk, which was my main desk until I got this desk, in the corner to sort of fully isolated setups. First and foremost, my mixer, which is the 1010 Music Blue Box, and I gotta say, I love that mixer. I was looking forward to getting it for a very long time, and I am really blown away by it. I like the ability to save presets because, as I said, I kind of changed my routing a lot, and so I can have basically preset settings for any different number of inputs, outputs, whatever, and that's super awesome. So I just need to set things up once and then just plug the new things in that I want to do and press load new preset or load old preset, and boom, I'm off. It's really great. The only complaint that I have about it is you should probably be aware that the device can get kind of physically warm to the touch, especially if you have it near a window and there's some light streaming in or anything like that. Now, that's just the consequence of it being a very small device and not having any sort of fans on it, because why would you put fans on a mixer? That's just gonna add volume and be a big old pain. But just because it is such a small device, it can get kind of warm, so you do wanna hold that B button to sort of put it to sleep between uses. Now, while we're talking about the Blue Box, I just wanna take 1 minute to talk about some cables that I found really useful. So one of the things with the Blue Box is you have these 6 inputs that can turn into 12 inputs because they are 1/4 inch TRS inputs, and you can get TS splitters to turn them into stereo inputs. Now, a lot of times the HOSA TS splitters have really thick cable ends, and the holes, there's not a lot of clearance, and sometimes you can't fit in as much as you want. So I bought these. These are the Bafaco TS splitters, so TRS to TS, and they're great. They fit perfectly. It's still not quite as much clearance as I'd like, but you're not going to have any problems with these. I got a whole bunch of these, and then I also got this for my modular, which is the same thing essentially, except instead of it being like input ends, they're actual just two we have T and S, and then we have TRS right here. So I can just, if I'm not running into the Octatrack with my modular, I can plug these in to my modular outputs, plug this in, and I don't need any sort of adapters or anything. So highly, highly recommend. I'm gonna link both of these in the description. They are not affiliate links. I don't know how to do affiliate links, but honestly, they are absolutely worth the money, including the international shipping. As I said earlier, I have the Strymon Iridium. That's my guitar amp on the desk. I've used real amps for years, and I straight up have not mic'd an amplifier since I got that thing. I love it. It's amazing. The next to that, I have my modular synth. Now, it looks a lot different than it did in the last video I made about it, but honestly, the biggest difference between that is just the case. I just got a bigger case. I ended up putting my DFAM, which I had kind of to the side and would occasionally use for other things. I just put that in at the top because you can just mount it like it's a Eurorack module. And then the only actual other modules that I've added since the last rundown I did was a MIDI to CV interface and a mixer. And what I like about the mixer, it's the Mixology by Qubit, and you can actually have an effects send and return. So I'm using my micro clouds as an effect send, so I can do a lot of cool stuff with that. So like that a lot. Now right below the modular is the Electron Octatrack. I am still learning the Octatrack, and I think I will still be learning it for a very long time. I can tell it's powerful. It's a lot of work. Now, next up, running into the Octatrack, but obviously I change things up every now and then, but right now running into the Octatrack, I am running my WA12 vocal preamp, and I'm using an Audio-Technica AT2020. Is it 2020 or just AT20? It's AT2020. I got it right the first time. I'm just using that as a vocal mic that I can have over there because this is for this desk and that's for that desk. So I can, still do vocals no matter where I'm sitting. If you're looking for a really solid, not the smallest, not as small as the Cloud Lifter things, but smaller than a regular rack unit, I really recommend that WA12 preamp. It just sounds really good. And then sitting on top of that preamp, I have my Marantz mono tape machine, which is great and awesome and super fun to just destroy mixes with, as well as the fact it has a built-in microphone and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. They're expensive. I found it for I think $100 online, which is one of the best. None of that. I found it for $100 online, which is one of the best deals that I had ever found. So, unfortunately not cheap, but it works really well. Obviously you can see I have this pegboard set up on the wall behind with a MIDI keyboard with random cables. I have my little tripod that I put my phone on for my live streams and all of that stuff over there. That's gonna get filled out as the future goes on. For right now, it's just kind of a blank empty thing on the wall. But essentially, that's that for the synth desk. Obviously, there's a whole other side to the desk. Right now, it has tarantula enclosures. I understand people can be afraid of spiders, so I will not show the contents of the tarantula enclosures. 3 guesses as to what's in there, but obviously there's a lot of room for expansion if I ever need to, which is great. So last but definitely not least is my newest favorite addition to the studio, which is live drums. I've been wanting to have live drums in a studio for a really, really, really long time, and I'm just so glad that I was given an opportunity. I put out a message on my Instagram saying I'd like to buy some cheap drums if anybody has some, and shout out Joe reaching out and saying I got some for free. So I know nothing about the specs or anything. I just know that I'm grateful. And they sound pretty decent. Sound amazing for free drums, but if I paid money for them, they sound fine. And then I obviously just bought myself some hardware and a hi-hat and a ride, and I'm keeping it super simple. This is mainly so I can record breakbeats and all of that other sort of thing, but mainly right now I am just practicing because I need to get better at drums. But that is essentially it. This is my little home studio that I've built up for myself. As I said, things are subject to change. Things are likely to change, but for right now, I am really enjoying what I have set up. So thank you to everyone who watched this video. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And if you want to get notified when I go live, because I do not have a good live stream schedule, hit that bell notification so you get a little ding when that happens. There's also a link in the description to a Discord server that I run, kind of about this channel. It started off as mainly ambient focused, but Obviously, it's kind of spread out a little bit more, the same way that I have with the music that I make. If you want to hang out and talk about music and gear or show us pictures of your animals, that's what that's here for. If you have any comments or questions, just let me know in the comments below. I will try to get back to you and talk with you about what questions you have, or just say hey. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys real soon. I know I've been inconsistent with real uploads and it's been a lot of live streams, but until next time, I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Have a great one. Bye-bye.